Let me ask you something, and I want you to answer this honestly in your heart. When was the last time you truly showed up for you? Not for your boss, not for your family, not for the world's expectations, but for you. See, we live in a time where everyone is pulling at us opinions, distractions, demands, pressure, and somewhere in that noise, we forget the most important person in our life, ourselves. But let me tell you something right now, and I want this to land deep. You owe it to you. You owe it to the 8-year-old version of you that used to dream without limits. You owe it to the future version of you 5 years from now who's counting on your choices today. And you owe it to the warrior inside you, the one who's still breathing, still fighting, still hoping, even after everything life has thrown at you. 2025 is not just another year. It's a line in the sand. A moment where you stop living on autopilot and start taking your life back with intensity, with clarity, and with unapologetic purpose. Because hear me, no one is coming to save you. And that's not bad news. That's the best news of your life. Because it means you hold the pen now. You write the next chapter. And if you're willing to lean in for the next few minutes, I promise you this. You will walk out of here with clarity, fire, and a renewed belief that everything you've ever needed was already inside you. Let's go. Let me tell you something about why most people stay stuck. They don't have a goal problem. They've got a standard problem. See, everyone wants a better life. Everyone says, I want more money, more freedom, more health, more peace. But what they're not telling you is their standards haven't changed. And until your standard changes, nothing else will. We all get what we tolerate. If you tolerate being tired all the time, you'll stay tired. If you tolerate being underpaid, disrespected, overwhelmed, unhealthy, you'll stay right there because your mind and body are incredible machines. They will match whatever standard you feed them. Raise the bar, you'll grow. Lower the bar, you'll shrink. So here's the truth. In 2025, it's time to stop negotiating with your potential. It's time to stop making excuses for why you're not doing what you know you're capable of doing. It's time to stop living in that gray zone where you're kind, committed, kinder, disciplined, kind, focused, kindy. Doesn't change lives. You owe it to yourself to make a decision that this year you are raising your baseline. No more average, no more good enough. That version of you can't come where you're going. See, most people think transformation is about a dramatic event, one breakthrough moment, some big speech, some big change. That's not it. Real transformation happens in the tiny moments when you make a new decision about who you are. It happens when you say, I don't hit the snooze button anymore. It happens when you say, I eat like someone who loves their body. It happens when you say, I don't surround myself with people who drain me. That's not motivation, that's a new standard. And once you raise that bar, your entire nervous system has to recalibrate. You start thinking different, moving different, going up different. And yeah, it's uncomfortable. Growth always is, but comfort is a trap. And if you're not careful, it will rob you of your life one quiet compromise at a time. Let me ask you this. What would your life look like if you raised the standard in just one area this year? What would happen if you stopped accepting low energy, low effort, low belief? Imagine waking up and deciding from this day forward, I don't just want more, I require it. I demand it from myself. That shift, that internal demand is everything because life doesn't respond to what you want, it responds to what you must have. Not, I hope I get healthier this year, that I will become the healthiest I've ever been. Not, I want to make more money, but I will no longer tolerate financial stress in my life. Not, I'm trying to be more confident, but I live with bold, unshakable confidence because that's who I am now. Do you feel the difference? One comes from the surface, the other is rooted in your identity, and identity is destiny. If you want 2025 to be the year you finally break through, this has to become non-negotiable. You've got to stop dipping your toe in the water and start diving in with everything you've got. You owe it to yourself to set a new standard and refuse to go back to who you were. You owe it to yourself to stop chasing potential and start stepping into it. Because once you truly commit, everything around you starts to shift. The people around you start treating you different. Opportunities start showing up. You stop attracting chaos and start creating alignment. But none of that happens until you say, I'm done settling. That's when the game changes. That's when you become dangerous. That's when you stop existing and start truly living. Because in 2025, you owe it to you to raise the damn bar. You know what keeps most people from moving forward? It's not a lack of intelligence. It's not a lack of talent. It's not even fear. It's the story they keep telling themselves about who they are and what they've been through. We all have a story. That voice in your head that says, this is just who I am, or I've always struggled with this, or that's just the way it is for people like me. And we repeat it so often, we start believing it. We wrap ourselves in that story like a blanket. Because even if it's painful, it's familiar. And let me tell you something. People will choose familiar pain over unfamiliar power every single time unless they make a decision to let go. See, 2025 isn't just another calendar year. It's a clean slate. It's a full reset. But it won't mean anything if you're dragging the same old story into it. You can't take the weight of your past into your future and expect to fly. You've got to drop the baggage. And I know it's hard. Maybe you've been betrayed. Maybe you failed. Maybe you let yourself down so many times that trusting yourself feels like a risk. But you're not broken. You're not damaged. You're not stuck. You've just been hypnotized by a version of yourself that no longer exists. And the truth is, you've changed, you've grown, you've learned, you've survived things that could have broken you, and you're still here. That's not weakness, that's strength. But strength isn't about carrying your old story, it's about having the courage to write a new one. You owe it to yourself to stop defining your life by the worst things that ever happened to you. Because the moment you let go of that old identity, you create space for something better. You stop reacting and start designing. You stop playing small and start standing tall, not because life got easier, but because you stop pretending to be the person who couldn't handle it. Too many people are trying to build a new life with the blueprint of an old version of themselves. It doesn't work. You can't build a mansion with the tools for a shack. You've got to get honest. You've got to ask yourself, what story am I still clinging to? Maybe it's the belief that you're not smart enough or lovable enough or lucky enough. Maybe it's the guilt from something you did or didn't do. Whatever it is, I'm here to tell you it's not who you are. It's who you were. And who you were does not get to dictate who you become unless you let it. Look, this isn't about pretending the past didn't happen. This is about saying, yes, that happened, but it's over, and I'm still breathing, which means I'm not done yet. That's the shift. That's the moment. You stop being a prisoner to your past and become the author of your future. You are not your trauma. You are not your divorce. You are not your bankruptcy. You are not the failure, the mistake, the breakdown, the label they gave you when you were too young to know better. You are the one who gets to decide what comes next. And there is so much waiting for you on the other side of that decision. But here's the thing, you've got to mean it. You can't say you're ready to move forward and then keep secretly feeding the same story in your mind when no one's looking. That old identity will fight to stay alive. It'll whisper doubts, try to pull you back, convince you nothing's really changed. But you look it in the eye and say, I'm not that person anymore. You owe it to myself to forgive who you were. You owe it to yourself to choose who you want to become. Because your future isn't written in your history, it's written in your decision. And your decision starts now. You ever wonder why some people, even with all the talent, all the ambition, all the vision, still burn out, fall off, or lose their way? It's not because they didn't care enough, but it's not because they didn't want it bad enough. It's because they didn't protect their energy. In this world we're living in, energy is the new currency. Not money, not time, energy. Because if you've got energy, you can create anything, build anything, push through anything. But if your energy's drained, your focus is gone, your passion fades, your standards drop, and your vision, it gets blurry real fast. So let me ask you, who or what is draining you right now? What are you giving? Energy to that isn't giving anything back. Because you can be motivated, inspired, even on fire for a little while. But if your energy is leaking all over the place, you're never going to get momentum. And momentum is everything. But momentum doesn't just come from action. It comes from alignment, from making sure that what you're doing, who you're around, and where you're spending your mental, emotional, and spiritual fuel is actually serving the direction you're heading. You've got to be ruthless about this. Because not everybody deserves access to you. Not every message needs a reply. Not every problem needs your emotional labor. Not every invitation deserves a yes. Some of you are exhausted, not because you're doing too much, but because you're carrying too much that doesn't belong to you. You're giving your energy to. People who only you're giving your attention to negativity, gossip, chaos, things that keep you in survival mode. You're giving your focus to distractions that feel productive, but actually just keep you spinning in circles. You owe it to yourself in 2025 to reclaim that power, because you can't lead if you're depleted. You can't create if your soul's on empty. You can't show up as your highest self if you're constantly reacting to the lowest vibrations in the room. You've got to treat your energy like a sacred space, like it's gold, because it is. Start being intentional about who gets to be in your circle. Pay attention to how you feel after being around certain people. Do you feel drained or inspired? Do you feel small or powerful? That's not random. That's data. It's feedback. And it's not just people, it's your habits. What are you consuming on a daily basis? Well, the podcasts, the scrolling, the news, the noise, how much of that is actually fueling the version of you that you're trying to become? Because what you feed your mind is just as important as what you feed your body. We've been conditioned to think that being available all the time is noble. Let me tell you something. It's not noble. It's self-neglect dressed up as kindness. And you can't pour into others from a cup that's bone dry. So it's time to take your power back. That means setting boundaries, not just with others, but with yourself. It means giving yourself permission to unplug, to rest, to say not right now without guilt. Because when your energy is clean, your mind is clear. When your mind is clear, your decisions are strong. And when your decisions are strong, your life starts moving forward in ways you can actually feel. This is the year. You stop letting people hijack your focus. This is the year you stop allowing distractions to steal your destiny. This is the year you draw the line in the sand and say, my energy is mine, and I'm done giving it away to things that keep me small. And I'll tell you what happens when you make that shift. Your confidence rises, your vision sharpens, and life begins to match your frequency, not your fears. You don't owe anyone an explanation for protecting your peace. You don't owe anyone access to your power just because they've known you a long time. You owe it to you to protect the fire inside you, because that fire is what's going to take you to the next level. Protect your energy like your future depends on it, because it does. Let me hit you with some truth right now. Waiting for the perfect moment is just a dressed up way of procrastinating. You've been telling yourself you're getting ready, preparing, planning, waiting for more clarity, more confidence, more certainty. But deep down, you know what's really happening. You're stalling. And I'm not judging you for it. We've all been there. The mind starts spinning with what ifs. What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? What if it's not the right time? But let me tell you something. Clarity doesn't come before the leap. It comes after. It comes from doing, not thinking, from stepping out, falling down, adjusting, and learning. Because the only way to build confidence is to build evidence. Evidence that you're capable, that you can survive discomfort, that you can figure it out along the way. You don't need a perfect plan. You need the courage to move before you feel ready. You owe it to yourself to stop hiding behind preparation and start trusting your ability to adapt in real time. Because the breakthrough you're looking for doesn't live in your comfort zone. It lives in the middle of action, in the mess, in the imperfect, unpolished, uncertain doing. We've been conditioned to believe that we need to be fully ready before we act. That's not how growth works. Babies don't wait until they understand the physics of walking before they take their first step. They wobble, they fall, they get back up. That's how mastery is built, through movement, not perfection. But most people never give themselves that chance. They stay stuck in the loop of almost launched it, almost said it, almost started, and almost becomes a life sentence. You want to change your life? You want 2025 to be the year everything shifts? Then stop waiting for the conditions to be perfect. They won't be. There will always be uncertainty. There will always be risk. There will always be resistance. But here's the magic. The moment you move anyway, that resistance starts to break, and you realize you didn't need certainty, you needed motion. So take the shot, launch the thing, start the project, make the call, ask the question. Do it before you feel ready, and trust that you'll grow into it along the way. You owe it to yourself to stop overthinking and start executing. Because thinking won't get you momentum, action will. Massive, imperfect, courageous action. The kind where you don't have all the answers, but you show up anyway. The kind where your hands are shaking, your voice cracks, but you do it anyway. That's where your power lives. That's where your future lives. And you've got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Because the life you're after is on the other side of the moves you're scared to make. And the only way through fear is forward. You don't overcome fear by avoiding it. You overcome it by doing the thing while you're afraid and realizing it didn't destroy you, it grew you. And let me tell you something else. Nobody remembers the person who thought about doing it. Nobody follows the one who almost went all in. We remember the ones who dared to leap, who embraced the mess, who fell, got up, and kept going. You owe it to you to stop holding back. Not because everything's ready, but because you are. Not the perfect version of you, not the someday version of you. You, right now, as you are, because you've got everything you need if you're willing to stop stalling and start showing up. So make the move, do it messy, do it scared, do it without the applause, without the guarantee, without the map. Just go. Because you don't get the life you dream of by waiting, you get it by doing.